You feel like you're breaking free from something, but you got to cocoon inward. You got to protect yourself. You need to be an observer, and that can feel really, really heavy. But when you come out of it, you're going to be like the phoenix rising from the ashes. And this can feel liberating, but so scary all at the same time. It requires deep, deep, deep compassion. It requires patience, and it requires truth. And when you mix that together, you're creating the perfect elixir for change and the perfect foundation for creating the new reality in which you are moving into. Hello and welcome to today's episode. I'm so excited you are here. Let's talk about the truth about your spiritual awakening. It is often painted as a blissful experience. While there is some bliss in it, it is often messy and emotional. And I want to talk about what the truth is about your spiritual awakening today so that you feel seen, protected, and have the tools to navigate when you are having a spiritual awakening. So let's talk about what a spiritual awakening is. It is when you are going through an upheaval, meaning you are going through an awakening. You are once in this reality and you're awakening to a new reality. This is often times where you are feeling emotional, feeling disconnected to friends, family, colleagues, old habits, old patterns. And these can be current, but you're not connected to them anymore. And the reason why you're not connected to them anymore is because you're awakening to a new reality. The illusion of what that was is starting to come to the forefront. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The misconception around spiritual awakenings are that it's always blissful, it's always joyful, you're always happy. And that is some spiritual toxicity at its finest. Let me just say, there are peaks of bliss and valleys of shadows, meaning you are going to do your shadow work. You are going to look at things that you are uncomfortable looking at about yourself, about your reality, so that you can break free from illusion. And it is not going to be always butterflies and rainbows. You can try to be positive, but it's important to actually be real, be honest. How am I actually feeling? How does that actually feel? What do I feel disconnected to and why? How do I feel connected to something else and why? These are all types of questions that you can ask yourself while you're navigating your spiritual awakening.
Hey, can you do me a big favor? Hit that like button and subscribe. When you like this video, it helps with the algorithm and it helps us grow our community to be with you and many like-minded people so we can grow, awaken, and heal together. Also, if you'd like to hit that notification button, you'll get notified anytime we do a new episode. Please comment as well. Comments help us, and I would love to read your comment. I'd love to get back to you. All right, let's jump back into this episode.
Another myth that often is portrayed is that you go through one spiritual awakening and you are done. That is so not true. There is going to be dark nights of the soul that you go through that is more than one night. Let me say this again. The dark night of the soul is a chapter in your life where you are uprooting yourself from illusions, where you are uprooting your life from one old reality into a new reality. And so the dark night of the soul can take months. It can also take over a year. In some cases, not all the time, it can take years, depending on how willing you are to navigate these new truths of yours, how truthful you want to be with yourself, and how quickly you want to close the doors to old experiences, people that are no longer in alignment with where you're going, because that sometimes is the hardest part, where you have to let go of old friendships that once served you but don't serve you because they're not getting you where you want to go. And it's not about leaving someone behind, it's about honoring where you're going and where you're at in the moment, because not every friendship is meant to be for life, and not every relationship is meant to be for life. There are people that are going to come into your life for a long period of time, a short period of time, a glimpse of time, depending on what role they play in your life and what role you play in their life as well. When it comes to this spiritual awakening, it is going to feel gut wrenching at times, and you're going to go through many spiritual awakenings, because what that means is you're doing the work. It's not that you want to uproot your life every year, and that's not how that works. But if you're working on yourself, you're going to go through times where the shadows come out, they're deeply affecting you. You feel like you're breaking free from something, but you got to cocoon inward. You got to protect yourself. You need to be an observer, and that can feel really, really heavy. But when you come out of it, you're going to be like the phoenix rising from the ashes. And this can feel liberating, but so scary all at the same time. It requires deep, deep, deep compassion. It requires patience, and it requires truth. And when you mix that together, you're creating the perfect elixir for change and the perfect foundation for creating the new reality in which you are moving into. But it requires you to break free from the old. Now, I want to just emphasize this part again. You're going to go through many of these. When I first started my dark night of the soul, like, I didn't want to be here anymore. Like, I did not want to be here, because going through the trauma that I experienced as a child, it felt gut wrenching, and I didn't want to process it. I didn't want to look at it. And this is when I started receiving in my adult life intuitive guidance that I started listening to. During your spiritual awakenings, you are going to go through these dark nights of the soul, and your intuition is going to start to grow. You're going to start receiving synchronicity, receiving messages. And this is just a part of the process. It's up to you to utilize the information or not. And for me, I kept hearing, go to yoga, go to yoga, go to hot yoga, go to hot yoga, go to hot yoga. And so I finally looked it up. I finally looked it up, and there was a brand new studio that just opened up from down the road from my house. And I went, and it was one of the most amazing things that I ever did, because it set me on this path that I'm so grateful for, that I had the willingness and the courage to step upon and to own it, and to start breaking free from the trauma responses, start breaking free from the trauma itself, letting go of the shadow parts of myself. And so you're going to go through many initiations, invitations. It's up to you to take them. It's up to you to work through them. And when you do, you're going to come out in the end a much, much more grounded person. But not only that, you're going to become closer and closer and closer to your authentic self, because these shadow parts that you're working through, the patterns that you're working through, the trauma that you're working through, is what created your old reality to keep you safe at that moment in time, way back in the past. And where you're going next, you can't take those parts with you. You can't take those aspects with you, because they're old drivers. It's like operating from an old computer system that's completely outdated. It requires you to update the technology. It requires you to update your thinking, and it requires you to update your perceptions, so that you can create the reality that you truly want and desire, and you deserve it. I just want to say this one last thing about the dark night of the soul, and that is, the dark night of the soul is not a failure. it's not a bad thing. It is an invitation for recalibration and rejuvenation so you can meet your authentic self. So know that if you're going through the dark night of the soul, it's not about perfectionism. It's about really meeting who you are so that you can live your most authentic expression. So now let's talk about how to support yourself through your spiritual awakening. One is, don't forget the tools in your toolbox. This is so easily said and not done. And I myself am guilty of this. Oftentimes, when we're in a pickle, when we're having a hard time, we forget the tools that are in our toolbox. You have many spiritual tools in your toolbox. Practice them, utilize them. Some of those tools will support you. Some may need upgrades. Some may not be helpful at all, but you require to go out and look for additional tools, like I did in terms of going and starting yoga when I first got that guidance. Tools are important. The next spiritual awakening I had is when I moved to be with my now husband. I cracked my tailbone for the second time in my life. I was getting into a really deep depressive hole again, and I didn't want to crawl my way out of it. I was homesick. I was in a city that I was brand new to. I had no friends. And so one of the things that I asked myself is, what have I been wanting to do that I haven't given myself permission to do? And that was meditation. I wanted to learn how to meditate because I was doing yoga and I couldn't do it anymore. And at the end of yoga, I would meditate, and I really wanted to understand what that looked like and take that practice deeper. And so when I was going through this next dark night of the soul, I leaned into new practices that I knew would support me in feeling better and support me through getting through that dark night of the soul. So there are practices that you can either add or you already have in your toolbox: meditation, journaling, walking, breath work, mantras, Akashic records, working with crystals, going to lunch with a friend. There are so many practices that you can have in your toolbox that will be really, really helpful. One of the practices that I had and that I still do is called uncensored journaling. At the time, I would call it my mother effing journal because I would mother F everybody in it. And it was because I needed a release of letting go of all of the stories, all of the things I ever wanted to say, but held it back because I was in fear of getting in trouble. And some of it was not politically correct. And so when it comes to navigating the dark night of the soul, navigating the spiritual awakening, you can uncensored journal your thoughts. If you say something in there that's bad that you would never want someone to read and you have a fear of having someone read it, rip it out, shred it, burn it, practice fire safety, do whatever it is that you need to do, but you need to get it out of your body. You need to get it out of the cells. You need to get it out of the mind. You need to get it out of the soul, because the more you get out, the more space you will make to bring in the things that truly support you in where you're going and assist you in manifesting as well. Your spiritual practices can involve movement, can involve writing, can involve channeling, can involve connecting with your spirit team, talking to your spirit guides, grounding and protecting. There is an endless list of things that you can do for your spiritual evolution, for the dark night of the soul, for spiritual awakening. My go-to is always going to be the Akashic records, light language, and meditation, journaling, and crystals. Like, those are my go-to things that are always going to help me. And the default thing that I'm always going to do is make sure I'm breathing and reminding myself I'm safe and putting myself in my body, not trying to escape out of my body. Because when you try to escape your reality, you're not moving through the embodiment process. What you're doing is you're running away from it. And going through the dark night of the soul, your spiritual awakening, it can feel heavy. It can feel gut wrenching. And so you got to remind yourself you're safe so that you can navigate it with such grace and compassion as well, because you deserve to gift yourself that, because you are the only one that truly understands what you are going through, because you're living with yourself. Nobody else can go into your mind and understand that to the capacity that you understand it as well. So with that being said, going through a spiritual awakening is a gift that you have the opportunity to live your most authentic expression. And it allows you to awaken to new realities. You deserve to live your best life, and you can navigate your spiritual truths, your spiritual awakening with ease and grace. Tell me in the comments, let me know, what is one spiritual practice that helps you during your spiritual awakening? Also, are you going through a spiritual awakening right now? If you are, I'd love to hear if you are, or if you just came out of one. Please like, subscribe, share this with a friend, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.